The 49ers yesterday didn't actually practice, but he was there. This after dissing the Patriots, ghosting the Browns, flirting with the Steelers, and finally listening to another offer from San Francisco. So, Nick, are you starting to believe Aiyuk is going to end up staying?
I think it's more likely than it was a week ago. Right now, if you offered me even money on either thing, I think it's more than 50% that he leaves. But I don't think, a week ago I thought it was 98%.
Yeah.
We did a whole segment as if it were done, and it was just not agreed to. What, to me, the bigger story, Aiyuk, CD, Jamar, is feels to me there is starting to be a half-hearted, not full-throated yet, market correction on wide receivers, which we talked about this months ago, and then it's been alluded to other times. So just follow with me, Coach, for a moment.
I'm trying.
So when ESPN did their top 10 at every position list, where the people vote, remember when Mahomes wasn't unanimous number one quarterback and got him on the board?
Yeah.
29 wide receivers got votes in the top 10. There were 29 guys that executives thought, were top 10 guys. In this, and that's with no rookies eligible for it, in a draft where 9 of the first 34 picks, 7 first-rounders and the first 2 picks of the second round were wide receivers. The reason I bring all of that up is the price of wide receivers is higher than ever, and it seems like the supply of good ones is bigger than ever. And listen, I'm no economist, but I think those two things usually is not how it goes. If the supply is bigger than ever, the price is not usually higher than ever. So I think we are approaching a world where teams are like, man, $32 million for, I don't know, the 7th to 12th best receiver in football, or the Ricky Pearsall, if he's not made of glass, who I can get 80% of the production for 5% of the cost. That sounds attractive. So I don't think teams are actually ready to take that plunge yet, but I think they are starting to stem the tide, if you will, right now, because that's the position, Coach, that's coming out of college more ready than ever before. Mm-hmm. There's more of it than ever before. And so at some point the market will correct itself.
You would love to be able to say that the guy you're drafting is going to give you 80% of Aiyuk's production, and they went first-round draft pick at wide receiver, I'm sure, to give them some security if he moved on. But remember, Aiyuk had 28 big plays last year,
he was
20
excellent.
plus yards, 500 more yards than Deebo Samuel. He was so impactful, and you understand what you have. Like, he's established value. I think he wants to stay. I think they want him to stay. I would imagine a good short-term solution is guarantees or give him a raise this year so it doesn't affect the cap next year. Let him become a free agent next season, and you get all the upside of a guy who's chasing a contract with a team that's very good, and he's satisfied because he gets more money, and you're not killing your cap moving forward. And I think it's a
total sense,
very reasonable short-term solution with tons of upside for San Francisco and tons of upside for Brandon.
No, I'm with that. I think this is a great sign. If you're a 49ers fan, you're excited to hear this news that he's at practice, he's in 49er gear, he is there present.
Can I ask something silly, because we discussed this in the meeting? Would it make a difference if he showed up in just his regular clothes, the fact that he put on, 49ers gear?
It would. I think it would, because you take the time. You got to understand, when you are trying to sever ties, you want to kind of remove any type of thing
that clean out your social media.
Yeah, that's priority number one.
That's all, folks.
That's priority number one. But I'm not going to, if we're at a confrontation, and we're kind of trending towards a breakup, I'm not going to wear a shirt that you bought me. I'm not going to wear something and start having a conversation when I know I'm going to see you. Oh, you got me this. I'm not going to do that if I'm leaning towards walking away. And so that's my point that I'm making. I think that he is leaning towards, you know what, this might be where I need to stay.
But I'd say the only flip side to that, Greg, is if we're in a confrontation and you're not wearing my shirt, then I'm going to fine you, and it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Oh, you have to wear the gear?
Yeah, there's certain things that you have to do, otherwise it's conduct detrimental to the team.
Well, certainly if you showed up in Steelers gear. I don't know if he got fined for a white T-shirt.
What if he had that Carson Wentz outfit on? All the teams that are
problematic.
All right, Purdy sat down with Vern Glenn of KPIX and talked about.
Did you go through this person's archive, see what their bias level is?
No, he was very good. Talked about how close he was to winning the Super Bowl. Take a listen.
Rewatching the Super Bowl with, Shanahan and Greasy and all the guys, it's like, dang, like it really was there. We're a couple plays away from winning it, and you got to learn from it. You got to pick your head back up and go to work and try to go get it again. So it was tough. We still look back on it, and it's like, man, we wish we coulda, woulda, but that's life, and so now we got to respond.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
You're a couple plays from winning the Super Bowl, and where I get frustrated, because I watched a Super Bowl between those two teams where the Niners were a couple plays away from winning it. A couple plays, Jimmy Garoppolo have a ball batted down. Jimmy Garoppolo missed a guy wide open who would beat the Chiefs for a touchdown, and he got killed for it. And shortly thereafter got run out of town. I watched this Super Bowl where the Niners offense actually didn't function at as high of a level as it did in the previous one, where Brock Purdy has a ball batted down, where he misses a guy running wide open for the Super Bowl. And all the commentary is, man, Brock did his level best in that game. And that's where I think there is a double standard. If people agree with me that this is an overachieving player who it's a hell of a testament that he's where he is, good for him, attaboy, then fine. Then yes, then that's a fine evaluation.
That Patrick Mahomes was an underachieving player in that situation?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Patrick Mahomes is Superman, and you got Brock Purdy who shows up and this little kid who suddenly might will his team to the Super Bowl. As opposed to the billion-dollar man.
So I totally agree. And but the problem with that, because Wild tried to do that same thing on the morning call today. If folks want if we want to have a discussion about the level of play from Mahomes and Purdy in that game, and then the real discussion, which it appears you're implying, which is how good is Patrick Mahomes really? Let's have the discussion. I don't think anyone actually wants to have it. I think they want to throw it out there and then run away from it. If you want to have,
Patrick Mahomes is way better than Brock Purdy.
No,
nobody's
what are we
saying
talking about?
That's not the case.
No, okay, well then, hold on a second. The whole conversation around Brock Purdy is whether or not he's actually this guy. Whether or not he's actually an MVP caliber player. Whether or not he actually
was. Here, the actual conversation was he was.
No, but hold on.
But hold on. He was. Was he in the MVP conversation?
Yes.
Then he is an MVP caliber. Was he in the Super Bowl? Then he is a Super Bowl caliber player.
Okay.
And was he lined up with Patrick Mahomes head to head?
Yes.
Then he was lined up to Patrick Mahomes.
Got it.
Not in this fake world where he's not what he actually is.
In that Super Bowl, were there plays left on the field by Brock Purdy that cost them that Super Bowl?
Yes, just like every Super Bowl loser from Super Bowl I. No one loser has ever played a perfect game. Of course. Jalen Hurts played an amazing game. Mm-hmm. He also lost the Super Bowl for them.
Correct.
Okay.
Agreed.
It is what it is.
Agreed. Like, when I look at this, like, Brock Purdy is spot on. I think he's right. Where I would disagree with you is what we try to do is we compare these quarterbacks going head to head. And with Brock Purdy, yes, there is a lower level of expectation because of what we've seen he's going up against do. And that's Patrick Mahomes. He's been so good so frequently in the brightest moments and the brightest lights to where Brock Purdy, it's like, okay, if he can do that, then, man, that's impressive. It's not, oh, Brock Purdy is going to come in here and he's going to show up Patrick Mahomes. We expected Patrick Mahomes to do that.
No,
and Brock Purdy,
but
the hope was that he at least keeps up.
That's the revisionist history. The Niners were the favorites. The Niners were supposed to win that game. The Niners were the team that had the ball 3 times in the second half with a chance to go up 2 scores, and on those 3 drives, let me check, got -2 yards and had 3 and outs. The Niners were the team that had, we can show you the plays, the game in their hand 3 separate times.
Look at what we're doing. You're talking about the team, and then we're separating the quarterback.
No.
So if it were just the quarterbacks, no one would say Brock Purdy is the favorite. But we're talking the roster, so yes, based on what we had seen all season long and what the 49ers had been able to do, I'm outside my mind if I don't think they're the better team.
And so the point that I am trying to make is I feel like folks are trying to, sorry for the cliche, have their cake and eat it too with Brock, which is, here are his numbers, here's his career, he is